So, hi, I'm MiKo and I'm a poet. I've been told I don't look like a poet, which I guess is a compliment. Like maybe you'd expect a poet to be a lot older and talk about how green the meadow is or how birdy the birds are. I don't really do that kind of stuff. Or maybe you'd expect me to wear all black and just say things like emotion. Lots of clicking, you know, I don't really do that stuff either. Some people describe what I do as more slam style, which is because my career kind of started when I was doing poetry slams, which are competitions where you get a bunch of poets and a live audience will react and cheer and give them scores. And so the highest scoring poet moves on until you've crowned a winner. So the stuff I write is more sort of geared towards getting a reaction from a live audience. Sometimes that means making them cry. She asked me if it hurt. I told her I couldn't tell. I mean, what's a little burn when you're living in hell? I saw her eyes welling up and I knew then that I had no good way to say that there was agony coursing through my veins, that I was in pain all the time. And that's why there's razor lines on the insides of my thighs. That's why I hurt myself. I saw my mum cry for the very first time. I said, I didn't think you'd care. She gave me a look right there and then that let me know she cared enough to kill me if I ever dared question that again. Sometimes it means making them laugh.
Many friendly anemones actually have anemones, yeah, many friendly anemones and many enemies, and although I might look like it, I'm not the pheasant plucker, I'm just the pheasant plucker's son. I said I'm only plucking pheasants so the pheasant plucker comes, and I want to lie down with you, under the stars on that piece of grass by the side of the road, where we exchange the important questions, like how much wood could a woodchuck chuck, and a woodchuck could actually chuck wood, and how much love could this love have if this love could have love, and how many bears could Bear Grylls grill? And Bear Grylls could grill bears. I want to lie down with you under the stars on that piece of grass by the side of the road while we listen to the traffic roaring by, one by one. There goes a red lorry, and a yellow lorry, a red lorry, a yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow.
And sometimes it means just trying to do something that maybe they weren't expecting or maybe they haven't seen before, like a timed poem that I'll perform with a countdown clock behind me, so that I can't see it, but the audience can, and they can see if I mess up.
We would be perfect together. Now, how can I tell you that when in just 31 seconds I'll be gone from the stage and you'll forget my name and return to page 28 when the hero always says exactly what you want to hear. Right here, just 25 seconds of stop motion animation takes hours to make it. If I love so maybe I want it to be like that. If the reaction from me was as deliberate, considerate, precise, then maybe not attempt to tell you. Not just once, but twice. I finally had 15 seconds of wish to compare you to a male hormone and not know what to use them for. And fancy looking dumb with 10 fingers, 9 excuses, 8 reasons to never again do this, for which we've always like a slap hole in the ending in sight. If I'll take this right, I should be free to want you.
Poetry can be anything though, so kind of like music, there's so many different genres and styles, and my hope is that I can help you find a style that you really like to write, and hopefully the tools that you need to create something that only you could write, which, like, I know that might sound like a lot, but like, give me a chance, you might surprise yourself. For me, poetry is just about finding the most powerful or effective way to say something, right? It's the same thing that makes a line from a song really powerful, or a line from a movie really dramatic or funny. And it's the same skill that goes into making a really good joke, or a perfectly worded meme, or even a video game script that has that memorable moment. Like that's all poetry. And that's something everyone has, and it's different for every single person. Like, so many of us go through our entire lives trying to be normal, but normal doesn't exist. It's a myth. It's not real. There's no such thing as a normal person. Just some people are maybe a little bit better at hiding it than others. What I'm saying is you're all weird little freaks, but it's okay. I am. Everyone is. Your teacher is. Everyone is. Some of us wear that on our sleeves. Some of us keep it a bit more to ourselves. And if I've ever visited your school before, I might have spoken about the elephant game, which is a game that I play when I do workshops with adults all the way through college and school, different years, and even as young as 5 years old. And you get different reactions depending on the age of the people I'm speaking to, but the game is really simple. I ask everyone in the room to raise their hand if they think they can draw the best elephant. If you're watching this in a room with other people, go ahead, raise your hand if you think of everyone in the room, you can draw the best elephant. How many hands went up? See, most of the time when I do that, I get the same result, which is either no hands, 1 hand, 2. Sometimes I get 3 or 4, but usually we're capping out about 2. But what do you think would happen if I asked you that same question when you were 5? If I asked everyone in the room to raise their hand if they think they can draw the best elephant.
What happened?
I tell you what will happen. Me! Who can draw the best elephant? Me!
Me!
Every single person. Me! Even if they've never drawn an elephant before. Me! Even if they're not 100% sure what an elephant actually looks like. Me! And if you're sitting there going, I don't think I would do that actually, I promise you, you're wrong. I have done this a lot and I've never once encountered a 5-year-old that goes, I don't know actually, my shading's a bit dodgy and I struggle with perspective. No! Me! The point is, at some point that changes, right? And people are less willing to put up their hand. I didn't ask you guys who can draw the most photorealistic elephant. I said, who can draw the best elephant? I've received hundreds and hundreds of pictures of elephants because my job is strange. And they're all amazing. But the most important thing is they're all completely different. And if I was to show you some pictures of them now, which I think I'll be able to do, I think I'll be able to find some on my computer. These are some of the elephants that I've been given before. If I asked you guys which one's the best one, you're probably all going to have different answers. And that's the point, that's the beauty of it. When I do this with kids that are sort of 5, 6 years old, I get them to go and draw an elephant and bring it back to me. And the only rule is they have to say, this is the best elephant. And they do every single time, this is the best elephant. And my favourite one that I ever received was from a little girl called Maisie. She was really, really small and she was like, this is the best elephant. And she was right. It had 7 legs and a pink hat, and I loved that elephant. I think there comes a point for most of us where we start comparing ourselves to other people. Start thinking about what they maybe do better than we do. And that really affects our confidence in a whole bunch of ways. Most of you will have probably heard of Snoopy and Charlie Brown, or a more recent example of Adventure Time, right? Both of them are drawings of a boy and his pet dog, right? Neither of them are photorealistic. They're probably not going to get you an A in art class. But it doesn't mean they're bad drawings. They're amazing drawings. They've entertained and inspired millions of people. And fun fact, when Charles Schulz, who created Snoopy, was in school, he got kicked out of art class because he was told that he couldn't draw. And 50 years after that, there's a 5-foot-tall statue of Snoopy outside that school, because he went on to do his thing and entertain and inspire millions. The point is, if I got you to draw a picture of an elephant or write a poem, it's going to be different from anyone else's. And you might be thinking to yourself that it's not going to be as good, but that's incorrect. It's about finding your own style with it, finding something that you like, finding something that breaks through the paper. And it's also about breaking through that need to try and be normal. That way we hold ourselves back from celebrating that weirdness. Like if I got you all to think of a name of a character, right? You would all think of something different eventually. But if I got you to write down a name, you're probably all going to write something similar, right? There's going to be a lot of Jeffs, a few LeBron Jameses. But eventually, if I got you to keep writing names, you're going to come up with something that no one else in your class or in the room is going to write. And you'll all have different influences, right? Like some of you will like different movies, like different songs. You've all had different upbringings. You've got different friends, different favorite bands, different parents, different hopes and dreams or failures, embarrassments. You're all going through this life having these different experiences, which is partly what makes your brain so weird. And you'll all have different things that you find easier or harder than everyone else in your class, right? Some of you might be really good at rhyming. Some of you might find rhyming terrifying and difficult. By the way, poems don't need to rhyme, so let's just end that discussion there. But the point is, some of you might want to approach this in a different way, right? Some of you might end up writing a poem that's really scary or really funny or really sad or really introspective. Maybe you want to write about nature and meadows and birds and stuff. If you do, that's awesome. As I said earlier, that's not the way I write, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. If that's something that you really enjoy, then go for it. Some of you will already consider yourself someone that really likes or enjoys or appreciates poetry. Some of you might not. Some of you might think that you've never seen poetry that really speaks to you. That's fine. As I said earlier, you will find poetry in everything, in music, in movies, in video games. So start thinking about moments where you've really appreciated a line of dialogue or the way something was framed. Because when I was at school, I did not like poetry. I really struggled with English. It wasn't something that came naturally to me. And it wasn't until I was much older that I actually learned about modern poetry, about spoken word, about the slam style stuff. And I came to it through hip hop and rap music more than anything else. Because in the end, that's all rap is. It's just poetry, but with a beat put to it. That's what it stands for, rhythm and poetry, rap. And if you are into rap music, then think about some of your favorite rappers, maybe Eminem or Tech Nine, or maybe for you, The Rock is your favorite rapper. Maybe for you, it's all about drive and it's all about power.
It's about drive, it's about power.
But from whatever direction you're coming at this from, embrace that. I'm going to give you some ideas of things that you can write about just to get your brain whirring. We're going to go into more detail in the next video about how to write, about different techniques, and hopefully I can help you get a bit more confident with that. But for now, all I want you to do is think about some of the possibilities. Get your brain whirring, just start thinking of ideas. So like I say, I will give you some things that I'd like you to write down, just to see if any of it stirs something in your head. As I said, write down these ideas as I'm saying them to you, but please do write down more notes on top of it, bullet points, ideas, words that pop into your head. Because these are just suggestions. You can write about whatever you want to, take it in whatever direction you want to. And also remember that you're not being marked on this. You don't have to hand this in. This is just for you. So don't worry about getting weird with it or having bad ideas. It's always better to have more options. So if you could get your writing implement, pen, pencil, chisel, and write down number 1, a poem about loss. Now this is always a great idea if you're looking for something to write about. And it can be about anything. It can be about the loss of a loved one, like a grandparent or a family pet. And it also doesn't have to be too real if you're not comfortable with that. You can write about loss from another character's perspective. Write about a character who lost someone close to them if you prefer to do that. And some simple things you can focus on if you're going to write a poem about loss are obviously how it feels and how things are different now. If you're struggling at how to come about this, how are things different after that loss? What's changed? Idea number 2, a poem about lockdown. So the last couple of years have been a bit weird, right? So you can write about how lockdown was for you or how you imagine it was for others. You can write about how strange it was, what changed for you in your life going into lockdown. Or if you want, you can focus more on the other side, on coming out of lockdown. What were you most looking forward to? What did it make you appreciate? You can write about how difficult it was, or even your favorite parts of it. Maybe it meant more time playing games with friends online. And again, you can focus on the emotional side. What was it like having to go through that while still being at school and having those expectations on you? Number 3, a poem about something that makes you angry. I love poems about being angry. So you can write about something big like politics or the state of the world. There's a lot of stuff there that might be making you angry. You could also write about something silly or small. And this actually is a great topic if you think you'd prefer to do something that's funny or silly. Because taking something small, like I hate when people in front of me walk too slowly, taking something like that and really committing to it, that's just funny. And I've done both of those in the past, poems that really make me angry about something really important and trying to make whoever's listening to it or reading it feel angry too. That's really cathartic and I really enjoy it. But I've also written stuff about stupid things that make me angry because it's just funny watching someone lose their mind over something inconsequential. Finally, number 4, a poem about meeting aliens. Yeah. We'll finish off with a weird one. Write a poem about what happens when a character meets aliens for the first time. So again, you can go any direction with this, and similar to the angry one, this kind of topic can be approached in a whole bunch of ways. Like maybe you want it to be descriptive of the aliens, maybe it's going to be really scary, or maybe it's going to be ridiculous and you'll go into details about how they've only got one ear but it's on top of their head, or maybe it's about aliens destroying Earth, or getting lost as they're traveling through the cosmos. Maybe it's more serious and it's about how an advanced alien life might look at Earth and what lessons we as humans could take from that. Another direction you could go is to focus on who the character is, who the human character is. Is it you? Or is it some random from Ochtertool? Or is it the President of the United States of America? There's a whole bunch of different stories you can tell here. So yeah, let your imagination run wild. So yeah, those are just 4 ideas to get you started, because I know sometimes that's the hardest bit of this, is me saying, go write a poem. You can write about anything. It's the creative equivalent to when you're just scrolling through Netflix for 3 hours instead of actually watching anything. You know, when there's too many choices, sometimes that can be difficult. But take those ideas. If any of them speak to you, then great, use them. You can absolutely use that as the basis for your poem, or maybe it'll trigger another idea in your mind. I absolutely encourage you to write down as many ideas as you have, whether they're silly or wild or serious or sad. Like, that's the point. Find what works for you. And maybe that means thinking of different things. Maybe that means trying something that's funny, trying something that's sad, trying something that's angry, trying something that's shocking or scary. Like, maybe you want to try a few different things to see what feels more natural to you. Another really good bit of advice, if you're struggling to get started, is what some people call free writing. Just start. You can take any of the lines I said or anything else. You can Google prompt lines, which is just basically the first line to a poem, and then just see what happens. If you don't know, right, I went to the shop and got a Mars bar, but then just keep writing. Don't stop, right? So it doesn't matter if it's gibberish after that. If you're like, I don't know what I'm saying, I have to write, just keep going. Sometimes that will trigger something. Sometimes you'll do that and you'll find you eventually get into a flow with things. So yeah, if you're struggling to start. Great advice, MiKo. Thanks, MiKo. And more than anything, don't worry about being good at this stage, because this is just the idea stage, okay? In the next video, we're going to go over some actual writing skills and tools that might help you get the best out of your writing. But right now, we're just focusing on that one ingredient I mentioned earlier, your weird little brain, the story that only you would think to tell. There's something that's either very deeply personal to you, or something that you've just thought of, something that came from nowhere. Think about what kind of poem you would like to write. And if you struggle to think of that, think about what kind of poem you would like to hear. Something that might help someone else if they heard it. Because poetry can make people feel less alone. It can give people compassion and hope, or maybe even just a little bit of a laugh. So yeah, hopefully that's given you some ideas. Hopefully you've written some stuff down. Hopefully you'll go and write more stuff down. My name has been MiKo. Thank you so much to On Fife Libraries and Book Week Scotland for having me on here to do this. And hopefully, once the world calms down a bit more, I'll get to meet some of you in person too. Good luck with everything. I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.